Hello friends, it's me, ZaffreRevolution, and I'm finally here with this Q&A that I announced a while ago. I'm really sorry for this taking so long. To be honest, I forgot about it. I was looking through scripts on what videos to do next when I noticed this this document of all the questions and my answers, and I just thought, oh, shoot. So, sorry about that, but we're here. We're doing this. I'm unscripted, so if I stutter and repeat myself, I apologize, but we're doing the best we can. It's going to be a chill video. We're going to get to know each other, and it's going to be fun. If there are repeat questions, I'm just going to answer the first person who asked me it. So if you have like one less question than you asked, it's probably because I answered the question you already asked before. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump right into this. I got a lot more questions than I thought I would. So, thank you for those who submitted questions, and, let's do it. VX9 has two questions. First one is top 5 JRPGs. I kind of already answered this in my top 15 favorite games of all time, but I guess I'll just repeat it here. Tales of Symphonia, The World Ends With You, Persona 4 Golden, Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, and Xenoblade Chronicles. Those are the 5 games, the 5 JRPGs, that if I can only have 5, it'd be them. Second question is top 5 JRPG battle themes. I hope you don't just mean battle themes in like standard normal battles, because I included some boss themes here. Actually, most of these, all of these, if in specific instances, are boss themes. It was kind of a broad question, so that's what I went with. Anyway, the 5 I picked are The Other Promise from Kingdom Hearts 2, Rivers in the Desert from Persona 5, Zavid the Exile from Tales of Symphonia, Engage the Enemy from Xenoblade Chronicles, and Twilight of the Gods from Fire Emblem Echoes Shadows of Valentia. All of those are the top dogs. There are so many, or at least the first to come up to my head when I made the answer. There are so many great songs that it's so hard to narrow it down to just 5, but those are the 5 that I thought of first, so I just rolled with it. Patrick PFC has one question. How did you get into the Persona series? As someone who's very new to your channel, I always wondered how you got into the series, because every time I ask someone, they have a unique experience, so I thought it would be fun to hear yours. My story isn't that exciting or anything, but I think I just stumbled upon a review for Persona 4 from Game Trailers, and I loved the review because I was in love with the game I saw. I had never heard of it before, but it just looked so interesting. It had the PS2 aesthetic, because this was with the vanilla Persona 4. And I just loved the idea of it being a life simulator and a dungeon crawler. I thought that was so unique, so obscure. So I thought I'd give it a try, and I'd constantly watch the opening because I just loved the music so much. And I just kept like watching things about the game, and I kept watching the review, the opening, and one day on the PlayStation Network for the PlayStation 3. The game was on sale for dirt cheap. I think it was like $5 for that. Also $5 for a bunch of other games. I got a bunch of games on that sale. I got Persona 4, Persona 3. I got both Suikoden games. All those games I need to get back around to. But yeah, I finally got Persona 4 and I played it and I loved the crap out of it, dude. It was so good. And then I ended up buying a PS TV so I could play Persona 4 Golden. And then I played Persona 5 and I loved that too. And I need to get back around to finishing up Persona 3, but I made a whole video addressing why. A lot of people didn't really like that video, but you know, it happens. Next up we have Flowergrar. First question is, your favorite character out of any game you've ever played? That's a very hard question, also one I don't really want to spoil, because that's kind of one of the big countdowns I'm going to be trying to build up to at some point. But I'll give you a wide variety of some of my favorites, because there are so many characters, and narrowing it down is honestly a lot harder than I thought it would be. So we got Yuri Lowell, Zelos Wilder, Velvet Crow, Jude Mathis, Joshua, Neku, Nagito Komaeda, Kokichi Oma, Maki Harugawa, Rise Kuchikawa, Makoto Nijima, Zero, and Shulk. Those are just to name a few. There's a bunch of characters I love, but we're gonna stick with those. Now, their second question is, did you ever expect to do YouTube for at least some kind of money? A job, I guess you could say. It's always been a dream of mine, no lie, so I guess I expected it to happen. You know, if there's a will, there's a way, right? I have the mindset of that, so I definitely have the will to be able to do this full time by the end of the year. That's my goal I've set for myself. I'm telling myself this is gonna be my job by the end of 2019. So I've got to stay motivated, keep all my insecurities in check, and I can pull it off. I'm gonna be keeping up this weekly upload schedule, so YouTube will like me more and I'll have consistency. I can get recommended, people will watch my videos more, yada yada yada. More people will hopefully join my Patreon so I can get more money in a safe fashion in regards to that. And we'll be set. This will be my job by the end of the year, and I hope you guys will help me out along the way. Next up, we have Lizard Jesus. Hello. Big fan, Jesus. 2 questions. Their first question is, your favorite Tales waifu? Velvet Crow is the series' best girl for me by a long shot, as well as one of my favorite protagonists and characters in the series as a whole. I absolutely love the development they gave her, the moments, like she was a badass and she struggled a lot. She was such a well-handled character in my eyes. I love Velvet. She's so good. One of the best parts of Tales of Berseria. Tales of Berseria, all 3 of the girls are some of the best in the series. They did a really good job with their female cast. I love Eleanor and I love Magilu, but Velvet, man, she was expertly handled. Their second question is, would you ever consider playing Lost Dimensions? I've never heard of it, but maybe depending on what it is, I might. I have a lot of games in my backlog as is, so I try not to add too many games and I'm trying to save money, so, you know, maybe someday. Next up, we have Rave The Phantom 6. 2 questions. The first one is, what's your favorite character persona? For example, Arsene. And so he's asking what kind of persona is like my favorite in terms of their character, I suppose. Arsene is honestly really cool, and I think he has my favorite design in the series, as well as the most personality out of all of them, so I think I would go with Arsene, honestly. Second question is, name 2 favorite girls from Persona 3, 4, and 5, okay? From Persona 3, I like Yukari and Aegis. Persona 4, Rise, of course, and I mean, Rise would honestly be the only one if I had to pick another one, I guess Naoto or whatever. No, Naoto is really cool. I love her too. Persona 5, Makoto and An. Though Kasumi is probably gonna take a spot if her character fits the bill, because she's already got one of the major aspects of Best Girl down, that's for damn sure. Not to mention, she's really interesting, and I can't wait to see what they do with her. Next up, we have Noah Barone. I hope I pronounced your last name right. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing these names right in general. 2 questions. First is, favorite persona that a main character can use. So literally every persona not owned by another party member counts towards this. That's a hard question because there are so many of them, but I guess I'll list some of the ones that I got good variants of. Because, you know, the same persona can be different for 2 different people, depending on how you fuse them and whatnot. Ishtar and Cybele are a lot of fun, and I had really good ones in my most recent Persona 4 Golden playthrough. Thor is really good too, but Yoshitsune is a freaking beast, dude. That last skill you get with Yoshitsune is ridiculous. And I got one in Persona 4 Golden. I've only played Persona 5 once, because I don't have a PS4 at the moment anymore. So when I get that game again, and when I'm able to play it again, I'm definitely going to go for Yoshitsune again, because dude busted. Second question is, favorite Pokemon type and why? Dark. A lot of really cool Pokemon stem from this type. For example, my personal favorite, Weavile, Dark and Ice. Ice is not the best type, more of a glass cannon when done right, and Weavile is an example of that done right. Along with the Dark typing, Weavile is so cool, and I love the moves. Like Night Slash is so fun, the high critical hit chance, risk reward, I love it. Dark types are so cool, man. Next up, we have Xenolith the Second, my boy DW. First question is, what are your top 10 games you played in 2018? I'm not going to list all 10 because I don't even think I played 10 games that were all that great, hence why I didn't make the video. But a couple I can think of were Smash Ultimate, Mario Odyssey, Blade Strangers, Fire Emblem Warriors to some extent, and I guess Mario Tennis Aces was fun for a little bit, but that's honestly it. Him and Pai Pai shared the same second question, so I'm gonna go ahead and answer that right here. What are games you're hyped for this year? Top 5 or top 10, please? I guess I can do 5 because I'm not too excited for that many games. I think 5 is a good amount. Well, no, that's a lie. There are a couple games that I'm excited for, but these are the 5 I'm excited for the most. Persona 5 Royal technically comes out in Japan this year. Too bad it comes out next year everywhere else, so that sucks. But I'm really excited for that game, and I just had to mention it. Fire Emblem Three Houses, Pokemon Sword and Shield, Catherine Full Body, and Astral Chain. Those games all look great, and I'm really hyped to play them. Hopefully I get a PS4 by the time Catherine Full Body comes out, because I'm currently playing the vanilla version. I'm putting that on hold while I play some other games I'm going to cover in videos coming up soon. But I've really enjoyed Catherine. It's a very cozy game half the time, and a very stressful puzzle game the rest of the time. All the while being a very, very interesting story in terms of its characters and themes to an extent. A little mix on the themes of the game, but I really have been enjoying it, and I can't wait to talk about that in a future video. Next up, I always have trouble pronouncing this name, but Sir Quizano? I'm gonna say Sir Quizano? If it's pronounced wrong, I'm sorry about that, man. I know who you are. I see you in Discord all the time. It's good to see you, but I never know how to pronounce your name. Please correct me in the comments, good sir. One question. I'm simply curious on why exactly you like Tales of Symphonia so much. I personally don't care for it much, but I want to see if I missed some good stuff while playing. I love it because of the graphics, memorable soundtrack, excellent world map, world building, characterization, secrets to discover in terms of new areas and new enemies to fight, bucket loads of content over the story and in the post-game, great side quests that flesh everything out even further, the combat being incredibly reliant on skills and combos, the challenge being more reliant on player skill than levels, and it's incredibly replayable. I'm not calling it the best game by any means like a lot of people think I do. It's just my favorite. I just praise it and talk about it so much because it means a lot to me. My favorites are never called the best. I just really like Tales of Symphonia. That's why I talk about it and praise it so much. If you didn't like it to the same extent as me, that's fine. It's just my favorite game. Then that's all. It's not going to be for everyone like it wasn't for you, but you gave it a try, and I just hope you can. I know you don't think it's a good game, but I love it. So if you don't like it, that's fine, man. You probably won't you just it just probably didn't, I don't know, fit your standards or what you consider to be a good game. We'll just have to agree to disagree, you know? I still love the game. I'm still playing it. I'm gonna put in hundreds of hours to it on my Switch copy, because I'm 100%ing my first playthrough of the game. It's been so fun. I've been enjoying myself. Try the side quests in a second playthrough. That might help you out. If not, then that's cool, man. Next up, we have JetBlack Jay. Again, one question. What's your favorite super boss in a game? I love the cameo battles in the Tales games. Not only are they really hard, but you get to see characters you grew to know and love from past games and fight them, which is so freaking awesome. Like, the cameo battles are so cool, man. Every time, I look forward to them. Next up, we have Nolan Bekay. First question and only question. How did you get into the Tales series? Project Cross Zone. I originally played the game for X and Zero during the great Mega Man droughts. I believe that's when this game came out. I'm not entirely sure, but I'll look it up and post the confirmation on the screen. But when Yuri, Estella, and eventually Flynn were introduced, I actually found myself leaning more towards them, and I could honestly say they were my favorite characters in the game for how they fought and their cool personalities. I looked up what game they were from, bought it at my local game store, and the rest is history. Next up we have Tan Nagao Da. Again, I'm sorry if I'm butchering these names. Only one question. Do you play any Shin Megami Tensei games? No, but given one of my online friends, Renegade Master, is really into them, I think I owe it to myself to give it a shot. Also, I play and love a lot of Persona, so that might be a factor as well. You know, just maybe. Next up, we have Dio Martinez 259. One question, how has your channel grown over the years? I'd say incredibly well, though it could grow a lot more than it has. Again, I just gotta stay on top of consistent content and motivation while pushing myself to improve. And I could be doing this full time by the end of the year. I've been on YouTube for a long time, but I've never really been consistent until near the tail end, or I guess near the tail end of 2017 is when I started to get more consistent. And that's honestly my fault. My channel could have grown a lot more if I just stayed consistent. Like, I noticed that with a lot of my friends, and that I fell into that same trap too. Just consistency is key to growing more on YouTube. So as long as I stay on top of constantly pumping out content and just keeping my creative juices flowing, it's possible, man. The dream is reachable. Next up, we have Nick Ryuzaki. Again, one question. Cool. What are your favorite visual novels? I haven't played many. I've only played the Danganronpa series, Doki Doki Literature Club, and the first two Zero Escape games. Mine is Zero Time Dilemma, which I hope to play later this year. I definitely want to play more though, and I have more on the horizon and more in my scope, that is. Someone asked a question talking about that, so I'll go more into detail about what those games are in just a little bit. Next up, Ultimate AMV 421. 2 questions. First one, what are your thoughts on the Wild Arms series? Haven't played them, but they look fun, maybe someday. Second question, what do you think of the anime Hunter x Hunter 2011? I haven't watched that. I don't really watch anime as much as I used to. Gotta play video games, you know, but I used to be really big into anime. Just, I don't have the time. Again, I gotta play games. I gotta make YouTube videos, so you know how it be. Next up, we have Jack the Lightning Ripper. Hey man, how's it going? First question, what inspired you to make YouTube videos? I watched so many content creators who would do video essays and countdowns and reviews, that I just had to get into the action myself, you know? I have so many opinions on video games and don't have too many friends who play the same games as I have so many opinions on video games and don't have too many friends who play the same games as I do, so why just imagine it and when I could just do it myself? I would always imagine like me talking to a fake audience. I was such a dork and such a loser, talking about my top 10 favorite games of all time and all that. So, you know, I might as well just do it myself, right? Years later, and I'm making a lot of great progress in ways I wasn't expecting, but I'm looking forward to growing even more. Second question is, favorite gaming genre? JRPGs by a landslide. Love them more than I love myself some days. Other than that though, since that answer could have been fairly obvious, I love me some 2D platformers. Next up we have the Astro Wolf. Hey man, how's it going? 2 questions again. First question is most anticipated game for 2019. I listed a bunch earlier, but the one I'm looking forward to the most at this point might be Three Houses. I don't want to count Persona 5 Royal since technically I'm not going to be able to get it until next year in English, so you know. I'm really hopeful for that game and I believe it's going to be a great entry, I really do. Second question is, between action, strategy, and traditional, which RPG subgenre do you prefer? Action tends to grab my attention more for the combination of skill-based gameplay along with high stats, so I'd say that. Makes for the more replayable games too if you ask me, though they all have their strengths and weaknesses. That just grabs my attention the easiest, like the question was asking, so I don't know why I'm clarifying that. Next up, random HQ Switch. 2 questions. First one is, who do you want as Smash DLC? Yuri freaking Lowell, or any other Tales character. I'm hoping for Yuri or Velvet, or maybe even Lloyd. But specifically, Yuri and Velvet would be my top 2 picks. I also want Neku Sakuraba and Gunvolt. Those would be the Dream 3. Probably not going to happen, but the question was what I wanted, so... Second question, speaking of Neku, what is the chance of The World Ends With You 2? Very high at this point, but not in the way a lot of us may think. I don't want to spoil how The World Ends With You Final Remix's New Day ended, but they're definitely doing more with Neku at the very least, and he may be crossing over with some other people from another beloved Square Enix series. I have a theory about all that, and maybe I'll make a video on it at some point, but here's hoping whatever they do, it's good. I'm thinking, as spoiler-free as possible, I'm thinking Neku's gonna cross over with Sora and even some form of the original Final Fantasy Versus protagonist. I can't say who, because I guess that'd be a spoiler. But for those of you who played Kingdom Hearts 3 and even finished The World Ends With You Final Remix's New Day, you might know what I'm talking about. That's where my theory is. I've been kind of thinking about that recently. I think it's possible, but who knows what's in Nomura's head. We never know. And as far as I'm concerned, the perfect ending to The World Ends With You is ruined, and that's great. Next up, we have Finished Duck. Hey man, how's it going? 2 questions. The first one is, since you like Zero Escape and Danganronpa, are there any other visual novels you'd be interested in trying out? This is the question I kind of built up to earlier. Ooh. I'm interested in, let's see, we got Yumineko, I think I pronounced that right. Or Yumineko, I'm not sure. The Fate games to an extent, I guess. Steins Gate, Ghost Trick, maybe Ace Attorney, we'll see. And Valhalla, that's next on my list. I'm just so excited to play that one. I really am. It looks so good. Second question is, what's your opinion on 3D platformers? I love them, from the ones I played anyway. They provide a lot of wholesome, replayable fun. I tend to lean towards 2D platformers more because I prefer them for whatever reason. Maybe it's the precision I get and just generally being faster paced. But 3D platformers have my respect as well. Just haven't played as much as I thought I have. and they're very few in between nowadays. Maybe sometime in the future I'll dive into them more, being they don't take nearly as long as JRPGs do, so that'd be a nice fun experience to kinda dive into a bit more at a later date. Next up we have the Omni Slayer. Hey man, how's it going? 2 questions. First is, what's your opinion on Steins Gate? Just like I said earlier, I'm very interested in the series. My friends Collin and Fancy talk a lot about how great the games are, and since the first game got a remaster for the Switch, when the money's right, I'm gonna pick it up. Collin really wanted me to buy it at one point, and I just felt so bad because money just wasn't right at the time, but I really am interested in playing the games. I think after Valhalla, that'll be the next visual novel I jump into. Or maybe Ghost Chick. He's turning. I don't know. Second question is favorite YouTubers. My top 3 are The Completionist, Some Call Me Johnny, and Relax for being my biggest inspirations nowadays. I really hope to meet them sometime down the line, and because I can't just limit myself to 3, I also love Ant Dude, Nitrorad, Austin Eruption, Exo Paradigm Gamer, King K, Scott the Law, Steven Nux, Tamashi, The Green Scorpion, Jay Witz, Nico B, and Weeby News. I also have a lot of incredibly talented friends who you should all check out, and I'm sure they'd each appreciate your criticism so we can all become the next big YouTubers people look up to. So I'm going to link all those down in the description. First and foremost, my friends, followed by my personal favorites, because they all make great content for different reasons, and you should all give them a watch. It'll give you guys a lot more viewing time, that's for sure, but you know, always gotta help out my friends and help out the grind, you know. Next up we have Tanuki Player. Hey girl, how's it going? First question is, what are some of your favorite films of all time? Interesting question. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World is my favorite film ever. It's so good. If you haven't watched it, please do. It's great. Battle Royale, Infinity War, now Endgame, Captain America Civil War, Spider-Verse, Kill Bill, Pulp Fiction, Tag, love Tag, Shrek 2, and Kung Fu Panda 2, amongst many others. Second question, what is your least favorite character trope? Another interesting question. Not a fan of damsels in distress as of late. I'm okay with a character needing to be saved as long as they have a character other than the need to be saved. When them being a damsel is what defines who they are, that's when I have a problem. So I guess that's, I always love a little something about every trope. I'm generally a positive guy, but it just, when things are boring, that's when most of my negative opinions on them start to show up, and damsels in distress are just boring. Next up we have Shy Guy 2046. 2 questions. First one, did you play the Dragon Quest games like I suggested after your favorite Tales games, and if so, what are your favorite Dragon Quest games? I did not play them as they're very long JRPGs and I'm a busy guy, so I hope to get around to them someday, but I don't know, they don't seem to be too up my alley and I'm not incredibly interested. Maybe I just gotta give one a shot and see how I feel. Second question, top 5 Final Fantasy games. Guess what? I also haven't played a single Final Fantasy game, as I've tried a bunch of them, but I couldn't get into the series no matter how hard I tried. Final Fantasy 6 was cool or whatever, but not for me. I like Tactics, that was fun. The little bit I played, but you know, I just can't get into the series. I gotta try harder. Maybe I'll try Final Fantasy X as my next attempt, but I'm getting all these game recommendations. It's kind of overwhelming, so I'll get to them at some point, I swear, but just not for a while, man. Next up, we have Afe Williams. 3 questions this time, which is fine. First question is, who's your favorite best friend character from Persona 3 through 5? For like, do you prefer Junpei, Yosuke, or Ryuji? I prefer Or do you prefer Yosuke, Junpei, or Ryuji? My mistake. The names are so darn similar, I tend to get them mixed up every now and then. That being said, I prefer Yosuke. Poor guy is so well written, and I can relate to him for a multitude of reasons. He was so good. Second question is, which game between 3 through 5 has the best story and theme? I love the themes of 4 the most, as facing yourself, reaching the truth no matter the troubles, and enjoying life all shape me as a person. The best story though, I'd have to say 5. I love the entirety of the narrative despite the pacing issues towards the end, and I can't wait to dive into the world and story again when Persona 5 releases. When Persona 5 Royal releases, my bad. I wish I could play Persona 5 Vanilla again. I need to just get a PlayStation 4 again when the money's right. But that story was really great. I really enjoyed that, and I definitely need to finish Persona 3 because I've really been enjoying that story so far. I got most of it spoiled because people just like to talk about it, which is fine, you know, it's fine or whatever, but it sucks. So not everything's gonna have the same punch as they would if I went in blind, but what can you do, I guess. I guess this is an example of like internet culture and just the fan base, not on purpose, but it just kind of ruins it for me because I just know too much about it now. Third question is, if you had to pick a guy character today, who would it be from Persona 3 through 5? Yusuke. That boy is so pretty, I swear. Persona games really need the option to be gay. I probably wouldn't take it, but because I a straight male, you know, that's just how it is. But I'd like to, you know, just see how those roots would play out and just have more options and represent the LGBTQ plus community. They deserve it more, especially after all the jokes the Persona games have made. And you know, the option is just, it just should be there. That's just how it is. Next up we have Leon. 2 questions. First one is, what's one video game series you've been meaning to get into and why? There are many, but I've recently wanted to get into at least the first 2 Suikoden games. Especially excited for the second one. I heard that's one of the greatest JRPGs ever made, so how could I not want to play that? I started the first game and I've really been liking it, surprisingly. It's a very fun time. Second question, is there any game you really wish they made a sequel to? If so, which one? I wish Xenoblade Chronicles got a sequel, but people get mad whenever I say that, so I guess I'll just give another answer. Out of every game, I really want Kid Icarus Uprising to get a sequel because the game was fantastic, and I wish more people played it, you know? It felt like we just scratched the surface despite how much we were shown in terms of its world and characters, which says a lot for how much charm everything had. Make a sequel for the Switch, and I will lose my mind and buy it day one. And imagine online for the Switch, that'd be so fun. Kid Icarus Uprising's online mode was so fun, and if it were on the Switch, my boy. Next up we have Nikuyen Tai Hui. I'm sorry, I can't pronounce that. First question is, do you want a remake of Fire Emblem 4? I do want a remake of all the Japanese exclusive Fire Emblem games, but one on Genealogy would be incredible, I'm sure. Second question is, what's your favorite moment of your gaming life? I have a couple, but off the top of my head, my favorite moments were the Danganronpa V3 Chapter 1 trial, the lake scene between Yuri and Flynn in Vesperia, Fi's speech to Velvet in Berseria, Don't Speak Her Name from Awakening, and the final boss from Kingdom Hearts 2. All of it. It was perfection. Next up we have Gentleman Gamer 94. First question, what are your top 10 favorite video game soundtracks? I don't want to list all 10, being that will be a list someday and that's hard, but some of my favorites off the top of my head are Persona 3, The World Ends With You Final Remix, Xenoblade Chronicles, Kingdom Hearts 3, and Nier Automata. Second question is, what are your top blank, underplayed, exposed games that you'd force everyone to at least try out if you could? For example, you'd get way more people to play Ace Attorney if he was able to. For me, Tatsunoko vs. Capcom was a hidden gem that deserves way more love. More people need to play the Gunvolt games already, especially that second one. Come on now, guys, it's so good. And Super Monkey Ball 2. I'm still waiting on the third entry, Sega, and don't tell me any of those spin-offs or experimental games were the third game. Give me Super Monkey Ball 3 for the Switch, and I will love you forever. Next up, we have Persian Slasher. First and only question is, favorite and least favorite Danganronpa characters from each part of the series. From Danganronpa 1, we have I love Kyoko, I don't love Hifumi. Danganronpa 2, I love Nagito, I don't love Teruteru. Another episode, I didn't play that one. Danganronpa 3, I love Munakata, and I don't love Mukuro. Or at least I don't love what they did with her in this iteration, or in this entry. And from Danganronpa V3, I love Maki and Kokichi, and I don't love Korekiyo. Next up, we have Nick Barker. 2 questions. First one is, what is your opinion on story-heavy, choice-based games like The Walking Dead, Life is Strange, Wolf Among Us, etc.? I think they're cool ideas and games that can have a lot of replay value as well as different experiences for players. I haven't played many myself, but I've watched a lot of playthroughs for The Last of Us and Heavy Rain, and I want to play Life is Strange, but with money being tight and all, I'll hold off until a later date. Heavy Rain, if I played that, it'd honestly end up being a guilty pleasure of mine, because I did like the story a bit. Even though a lot of it was shot awkwardly and the acting was iffy in spots, it's a guilty pleasure, man. And I do want to play choice-based games. I think those would make for interesting videos so I could talk about my experience with them and all that. Second question is, have you played through the first Persona Q, and regardless if you have, are you excited for PQ2? I played a bit of Persona Q and deduced that the Etrian Odyssey style of games just aren't for me, so I didn't finish it. That being said, Persona Q2 looks cool and all, and I'm sure to listen to that soundtrack, because Persona Q had one heck of a soundtrack. but I have no plans of playing it, unfortunately. Next up we have Dynasty Star. One question, what are some games that you wish were left forgotten? Kingdom Hearts Recoded. I despise this game. I wish the series would just forget about it since it's completely pointless. And it wasn't good. Don't play Kingdom Hearts Recoded, you will miss out on nothing. Maybe one little mention of it in Kingdom Hearts 3, but it didn't even matter in the grand scheme of things, so it was stupid. Spoilers, that just let Sora know that Naminé existed, and just lets, no, not even, right? I don't even think that's what happened. He just found out about Ventus, Aqua, and Terra, so he could get caught up with the story. We had a whole crappy game just so he could find out about the story, the convoluted story Nomura had to come up with. So it's, don't play Recoded. Forget about it, it's pointless, you don't need to play it. If you have to know what happens, watch the movie. That's it. It's such a bad game. Oh my gosh. Alright, next up we have Collin Drey. Hey man, how's it going? First question, least favorite character from both a gameplay and story standpoint from each Tales game you've played, or at least your 3 favorites if that's too much. Least favorite character from a story standpoint is Shirley, without question. She's absolutely, incredibly, undeniably, indisputably, unforgivably the worst character to come out of the series, and I can't believe how poorly she was written. Gameplay-wise, I don't know, Rain kind of sucks to play as, I guess, but that might be more akin to the combat system. I normally don't hate playing as the healers. I love playing as Sharia. She's one of the most fun characters to play as in the series, despite her character not fitting the bill. Estelle's really fun to play as too. Elise is really good. I'm getting off topic, I know. I just love this series. I'm sorry. Second question is, what are your thoughts on Hearts are? I think it's so boring. Maybe it's the forgettable and underwhelming soundtrack, the terrible dub that ruins my immersion with the story, the average combat. I just did not like this game, and I think that it's such a drag to attempt to play through it. I tried doing it twice, but I couldn't. It was so boring, man. I just couldn't be bothered. So it's probably my least favorite Tales game out of the ones I've played. And I played Dawn of the New World, which isn't a terrible game, just weird. I want to understand that game more. I know that's not the question, but I just wanted to mention that I don't think Dawn of the New World is a bad game. I put it in my top 10 even though it was number 10. So I like the game. I finished the game. It's got a lot of likable aspects about it. It's got a lot of problems, man. The Hearts are, nah, not for me. Next up we have Anna Xisca. 2 questions. First one, in Persona 4, what is your favorite shadow boss? I'm assuming you mean in terms of gameplay, and I've got to say that the Kanji fight gets me sweating every time. Am I doing something wrong? Because it's always a challenge. Not that it's a bad thing, I really enjoy the change of pace and the challenge aspect, making it my favorite. Second question is, thoughts on the Big Hero 6 world in Kingdom Hearts 3? I love the Big Hero 6 world. It's one of my favorites from the game for how pretty it looked, the pacing, the character interactions, and it being a bit of a sandbox. Very enjoyable world. I love that one. A lot of the worlds in Kingdom Hearts 3 were really good. I think there was only one I didn't like. I think we all know which one that was. Next up we have Swift Weasel. 2 questions, and the first one is, how would you rank each waifu from Persona 4? We all know Kanji would be number 1, so I guess we shouldn't count him. Yeah, I guess you're right. So, let's see. I love Rise the most, obviously. I mostly love the party members, so it's mainly going to be those at the top. Naoto is right behind Rise. I really think Yukiko is so underrated. Poor girl gets so much hate, but I really like Yukiko. I also love Chie. I probably love Yukiko and Chie about the same. Other than that, in terms of other dateable girls, I think her name was Saki. I really liked her. I liked the drama girl. She was very sweet. I forgot her name though. I'm sorry. Don't like the band girl too much. But I liked Marie as well. I think she gets a bad rep too. I think those are all the girls you can date in Persona 4, so those will be how I rank them. Second question is, what are your favorite social links throughout the Persona series and a reason why? Rise's social link is my favorite for the engaging story of someone who didn't know what they had until it was gone and the character development that ensued because of it. I just love Rise, guys. I really do, and people might think you're biased, but I became biased because it was so good, you know? So, you know, I never really get the phrase, you're biased. Like, how can you be biased? Something makes you biased by being good. I don't know, man. That's a whole nother topic for another day. Mishima's was really good from 5. I fondly remember that one for being just so well written. And it was one of the characters where you actually saw his shadow, you know? And that really helped his character development. It really did. Adachi had an interesting relationship with the protagonist, one of my favorites. Same with Akechi. Dojima and Sojiro were good social links, and I need to play more of P3 to get a better opinion on those. So, yeah. Next up we have Corbet's Capon. 2 questions. First one is, what do you feel are the primary messages that Tales of Symphonia is trying to convey through its many characters and events and so forth? Or alternatively, do you feel that Tales of Symphonia is less about central messages and more tends to have a lot of smaller messages that are unrelated to each other? Don't forget to put a spoiler warning for Tales of Symphonia. Skip to this time frame right here to skip this question. There are definitely a lot of themes going on with that game. It's been a while since I last played it, admittedly, so I probably can't give the detailed answer you're hoping for, but I think that sacrifice is one of the bigger ones, or the effect sacrifices can have. Mythos is one who's willing to sacrifice so many for the sake of bringing back his sister, but we hear Lloyd constantly go on about how there's no meaning in dying and that there's never a need for someone to take the fall for another person's benefit. That's the most prevalent one I can think of after playing it all that time ago. I've been meaning to replay the game for a while now. That being said, I think that theme, if that is the central theme that many people can agree with, I think it's rather weak compared to the other themes of the other Tales games. Especially when you consider the fact that Xillia 2 is about how sacrifice is sometimes necessary to save the people you love, you know? That game is all about Ludger learning that, you know, some things are worth giving up for the sake of people you love, specifically L, and in some cases Julius, more so L than anything else. So that being said, I think that game handles the theme of sacrifice way more, especially because I agree with that standpoint way more than Lloyd's standpoint in Symphonia, especially considering at the final boss when Lloyd tries so hard not to sacrifice Mythos, but in the end he realizes that it's impossible. And I guess that's an interesting perspective on that because he grows from that in the second game. He becomes much more mature and realizes that in real life, you know, some things you just gotta give up. But then again, there are also some aspects of his character in Dawn of the New World I did not like at all. So that's how I feel about the themes in Symphonia. Very interesting question. I hope that answered your question very well, but yeah, I'm just not too big on the theme of sacrifice in Symphonia. More so, I prefer it much more in Xillia 2. But there are a bunch of other themes the game is bringing up. I just can't bring too much of a good discussion to them since, again, it's been a while since I replayed the game, or since I played the game. I'm replaying it soon though, don't worry. And I'll be able to discuss this question much more in detail in a future video. Second question is, what are some of the most important, significant, tangible ways you've seen a video game influence who you are as a person? The Persona series has had a big impact on how I express myself to others for. I've struggled to some extent and to some extent still do with opening up to people and being able to confide in others, but these games showed me that your bonds with each other are your greatest strength and help you become the better person you're meant to be. And it's a big reason why I love this series so much. Thank you for the questions. Good questions, man. Next up, we have Maya May. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing this. I really am. I'm trying, guys. I hope I don't come off as rude to some of you all. One question. What type of bath soap do you use? I'm a broke boy right now, so I use 3-in-1 gel to save money. Might not be the best, but it gets the job done. I don't want to give away the brand though because I'm insecure. Next up we have John Carvalho. One question, do you play the Monster Hunter games? No, but I want to. I've only heard good things about the series from close friends. I've also been interested in God Eater. That game those games look pretty cool. And you get Yuri and Estelle costumes and the upcoming Switch game? Hello? You know I gotta cop that. You know how I feel about Vesperia. Next up we have Sean Reviews. Hey man, how's it going? One question, least favorite video game character? Shirley. And I will give her the proper rent she deserves in the future, because she is so bad, guys. I do not like Shirley, and I never will. Next up we have Bravesoul 3155. One question, what is your dream video game crossover? If Tales and Persona were to ever crossover, for whatever reason, I would lose my mind and never recover. Those are my two favorite franchises, my babies, and I don't know how it'd be done. Maybe have make new characters for a Persona series and have the Persona be like the various Tales characters and party members. So if something like that were to ever happen, just wow. That would be amazing. I would love that. I'd eat that shit up. Next up we have Starwolf, the villain himself. One question, are you gay? Nope. Alright, next up we have Ice Strike. 3 questions. First is, how did you start on YouTube and has the vision of your channel changed since then? I started on a different channel actually. I'd make Let's Plays by sticking a camera in front of my TV and turning the lights off. Obviously that didn't work from the footage I'm showing you right now, but I always thought I'd be Let's Playing. Now I have no interest in doing them whatsoever. I do like streaming though, and I do stream on my Twitch channel, ZaffreRevo. Everyone go follow that, it's so fun. We're playing Gunvolt 2 right now, and it's great. So I started this new channel after I lost interest in Let's Plays, and went in with the intention of being a countdown maker, much like many YouTubers I used to watch. Now I do them every now and then because I still find a lot of enjoyment out of them, but I much prefer making video essays and just talking about whatever I want. YouTube seems to like those kind of videos too, so that helps. That being said, my vision has changed drastically, and now I want to be known as that positive YouTuber who can't shut up about the games he loves, while also being real and critical when needed. Also to be known as the Tales tuber. But I'm taking a little bit of a break from JRPGs and the Tales and Persona series. That's all I've been talking about lately. The next few games I'm going to be covering are indie games, so I'm going to be doing a lot of reviews, and I'm excited. I hope you guys are too. Second question, with the announcement of P5 Royal and the new female character, do you predict it being the return of a female main character or an original character like Marine Golden? Obviously this goes to show how much sooner this video should have been done, but it's been revealed that the female character is named Kasumi and is in fact a new party member, and I freaking love her. Oh my gosh, I love redheads, leave me alone. She's beautiful and I'm gonna wife her up in Persona 5. Makoto's got some competition and I can't wait to find out more about her character. That being said, I really wanted the female main character option to come back. I think that was such a cool detail in Persona 3, and I hope they do that with Persona 6. That's the thing I want the most, and in terms of my hopes and wishes for that game, whenever that may be. Third question, how's your day going? It's going good. It's early in the morning by the time I'm recording. I'm very motivated in terms of YouTube content, so after this, I'm gonna be getting to recording more footage, ironing out scripts and whatnot. I'm gonna be hanging out with my girlfriend today. I'm excited. It's gonna be a good day, man. It's gonna be a great day. Thank you for asking. Next up, we have SS Bidoof. One question. How did you get into Danganronpa? My friend Fancy would not stop talking about how much he was enjoying the game, so soon, more and more people hopped into the train and I just had to see what all the hype was about. Played the first game and I loved it. Was sucked in ever since. And finally, we've reached the end of this long video. I hope you all are still with me, and we've made it. And we have Tomark with 3 questions. First is, what is your favorite genre besides RPGs? 2D platformers. A lot of them are a lot of fun. Tons of games I can just hop in and have a fun time with, not to mention replay without putting too much of a time sink in. So I love 2D platformers, man. Really do. And the best one, Gunvolt 2, go play it, please. Next up, if you could pick 3 Nintendo systems to play for the rest of your life, what would they be? The Nintendo DS, the Nintendo Switch, and GameCube. Yeah, I'd stick with those. Hopefully the Switch would get a virtual console that just allows for every Nintendo console because it's possible and needs to be done. Not to mention I just love the Switch. And the DS and GameCube are just my favorite Nintendo consoles. I love those things so much. And the final question for today, guys. What are your coffee preferences? I actually prefer hot chocolate. Not too big on coffee. It's bitter and it's gross. Gotta get all my energy naturally, you know. But hot chocolate? So good. But that's it. Those are all the questions. Thank you for watching if you've made it so far. I hope you got to know me a bit more. I definitely got to know you all a bit more. This was a lot to record. I'm going on 50 minutes strong. I definitely took breaks in this recording session, so who knows how long the video is gonna end up being. That was a doozy. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I really do. I had a lot of fun with this. Thank you for all the submitted questions. I'm sorry for taking so long on this. Next time I do a Q&A, I'm gonna give myself a deadline so I don't forget about it. I gave you guys a deadline, but I didn't give myself a deadline. Kind of backwards, huh? But it will definitely go smoother next time. But I think it went fairly smooth this time. Got a lot of questions. Thank you. Thank you all so much. I love you all. And I'll see you guys next week for the next video. So, catch you all later. Bye-bye!